Good morning. So this is my personal review and how I feel about my 2017 XSR900. First, I want to talk about some of the things that I've done to this bike and go over it, and then I'll talk about what I think about it. I've had this bike just over 2 years. I bought it, I think, January of 2018. So I've had it just over 2 years, and I've done some things to it. And first, I'll talk about the smaller stuff. First of all, I put on an RNG aluminum chain guard cover and a aluminum countershaft cover. This countershaft cover is really expensive from Yamaha, but RevZilla had a sale on them, so I'm pretty happy about that. It was still pretty expensive for what it is. It's a piece of aluminum, and just for that cover, it's kind of silly to buy it, but I think it looks really cool. I also bought these Rizoma aluminum handle grips. They're really cool. I think they feel great. They got a little rubber coating for some texture. I think they look awesome. The bar ends, Puig makes those. I think they match real well, go good with the bike. I have some CRG levers, which are a heck of a lot better than the factory aluminum ones. They feel good. They look good. I think they're really nice. Also did these LED turn signals from TST Industries. They look really cool, and I'll show them in just a minute. Put a LED headlight bulb in here and a Puig windscreen. I don't know what kind that is, but Puig makes it. So to show the turn signal, I think those look pretty cool. Much cooler than those big factory bubble orange looking ones that the Yamaha puts on there. I don't really care for those. Also did stainless steel brake lines on the front and also on the rear. I think they look really cool. They have a much better feel to them. Performance-wise, I noticed a little more bite. Not as much pressure to get the bike stopped. Also put the AA sintered brake pads on the front and rear for a little more grip. As you can see, also did the rear stainless steel brake lines. And I think that's about it. Oh, and I put the Puig brake reservoir cover on there. It's kind of stupid to spend $30 on it for a stupid cover, but I think it looks much nicer than the factory one. And the last stupid thing that I've done, I can't believe that's coming up. I have to glue that back down. But the other stupid thing that I did was buy this Rizoma fuel cap cover. And it's really dumb in my opinion because it's like $200 for this thing. And the worst part about it is that this hole is much smaller than the factory. So when you're filling up, you can't see down in there once you put the nozzle in. And you can't tell how far you are from the top. So you got to be real careful when you're fueling up so it doesn't overflow. Of course, the rear turn signals as well. I would like to get a fender eliminator kit, but this back end doesn't bother me as much as some people. So that's why I haven't gotten around to it yet. I probably will. And the biggest thing I want to do is get rid of this stock factory exhaust pipe. But as you all know, these things aren't cheap, especially if you get a good one. So you're looking at close to $1,000 or even more than $1,000 if you go with a real high quality one. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that. And oh yeah, one last thing, I put these little covers on there that say XSR with the black in the background. I just think it looks cool. It was like $10 on eBay, but I think it looks pretty cool. I was considering putting the Motodemic LED headlight assembly on there, but it's like $500 and some, and I'm not sure I want to spend that kind of money just for a headlight. So for now, I just got the LED light bulb in there. So let's take a look at this bike. So I'm not going to talk about the specs, things like that, because there's 1,000,001 YouTube channels and all kinds of information on this, on the specs of this bike. But you can look that up yourself. I can just tell you what I think about the motorcycle and how it's treated me. I've had no issues with this motorcycle whatsoever. It has performed very well. One minor glitch that I did have is oh, now that I'm looking at it, I did get these OES frame sliders. I forgot to mention that. Those are really cool. But the problem I did have is right here, shortly after I bought it, there was a little bit of oil seepage, and it would run down and drip down. And there's an O-ring right behind here. So I had to buy an O-ring. It was still under warranty, but it would have been a bigger hassle for me to take the motorcycle, take it back there, have them order the part, put it on, and then go get the motorcycle again. So basically, I ordered the part. It was like $3, and I just took this little cover off, took the old O-ring off, put the new one on, tightened it back up. It was fixed. That whole process took about 3 minutes, maybe not even that. So I just paid the $3 when it was still under warranty. So this bike now, just over 2 years, has 9,243 miles on it and performs flawlessly. It is an excellent motorcycle in my opinion. It has more than enough power that you can ask for on the city street. It has more the low end power that you would use on the street, not so much high horsepower. It's 0 to 100, I think it'll hang with any sport bike, unless you get something really crazy. But for the most part, most any sport bike, you will hang with them up to about 100. After that, the sport bike will start to pull away from you. But plenty of power. You can watch other YouTube videos where people race and race sport bikes and whatnot, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's very powerful. It'll wheelie in a skinny minute. This bike is not easy to keep the wheel on the ground if you're really cranking the throttle on this thing. It has the three sport sport modes. I always keep it as standard. If you put it in A mode, I feel that the throttle is real twitchy. It's kind of twitchy even in standard, but it's not that bad. A mode is just real twitchy. If you're on a mountain road, like I took this to Tail of the Dragon, I think last year, and if you have it in A mode, every time you go to get on it, it gets kind of twitchy. So you still get the power in standard, but it's not as twitchy. And I prefer standard mode. Unless it's raining, I'll put it in B mode. It'll make the throttle a little less sensitive, especially for the rain. And then for traction control, I always keep it in 1. 2, if you crank on the gas too hard and it wants to lift the wheel up, it'll chug on you and lug, and it'll start bucking you like a bull, because it won't let the wheel come up, and it'll start cutting power every time the front wheel wants to come off. So it just kind of bucks and chugs along. So I don't like that feeling. So I keep it in 1, but it will let you do a wheelie in 1. It'll definitely let you do it if you turn the traction control off, but I don't rarely do that. I don't really do a lot of wheelies on this thing anyway, although it is fun, but it is what it is. So let's crank it up and talk about this motorcycle just a little bit more. So as I said, I've had this motorcycle for about 2 years now, and it's been nothing but great. It performs great. I've had it on the twisty roads. It performs excellent. It'll turn like on a dime. It's real flickable, real nimble. No issues with it whatsoever. Would I recommend this to a new rider? Then, that's a tricky question. And it's one of those controversial topics. I think everyone has their own opinion. I'll give you mine. Take it for what it's worth. I learned my very first motorcycle was a 1998 GSXR 750. I have never ridden a motorcycle a day in my life until I got that motorcycle. And that GSXR, I learned on it. I made mistakes on it. It quickly put me in the check when I did, but knock on wood, I never laid it down. Never had an accident with it. I've had some close calls, but never had an accident. So will this thing get up and go? You bet. So can you learn on this bike? Yes, you can. Do I recommend it? No, I do not. It's probably not a good idea, but if you treat it with respect and you drive it like an adult and you're careful, maybe use B mode, full traction control, I think you can learn just fine. I taught a friend of mine how to ride on my other bike, which is the Kawasaki Vulcan S 650, and he learned on that thing just fine. I think he could have learned on this one. However, when he made some mistakes on the Kawasaki, I think this thing would have gotten him into a little bit more trouble than he got into on the Vulcan. And would he have crashed this thing if he was learning on this? Maybe, maybe not. That's hard to say. That's here nor there, but you can learn on this bike if you wanted to. You would definitely have to be careful. I learned on the XSR900, so I don't see why you couldn't learn on this one. But there's much better choices out there than this one. That's my personal opinion. I know some people highly disagree, and some people will agree. It's whatever. That's my opinion. But this motorcycle is awesome. Complaints about it. It's definitely not a touring bike, even though I've used it for touring. I have ridden it all the way out to Tennessee and back, and I don't recommend it. Your butt will hurt. This seat is the factory seat. For a couple hours, you know, it's fine. But after a few hours, you notice that that seat is a stock seat. I guess if you change to something a little bit more comfortable, you'd be okay. Maybe for a little bit longer, but it will definitely let you know. Now, I've ridden this bike probably 14, almost 15 hours in one day. And yeah, I was sore. No doubt about it. However, was it unbearable? No. No. Would I do it again? Absolutely. I would ride this to Tennessee and back again any day. I would definitely be sore and a little bit uncomfortable, but I love riding motorcycles. I love everything about motorcycles. So I just don't complain about it. I just deal with it. This windscreen, before I put it on, the wind hit you square in the chest. But before, one of my other bikes, I've never had a motorcycle with a windshield, or at least one that was worth a damn. So I'm used to wind hitting you square in the chest. When I put this on, I put it on mainly for looks. The benefit to that is it puts the wind up pretty much at about chin or eye level. So really, the only place you're getting the wind is right on your helmet. So I don't complain about the wind. Again, all my motorcycles before, I've never had a big windshield to keep the wind off of me, except for one. So I'm okay with it. I'm just not gonna bitch and complain about wind. It's whatever. You're on a motorcycle, deal with it. My opinion is, if you complain about the wind, then you need to get you a car. You're in the elements. That's part of riding a motorcycle. That's my opinion. So now, as far as tires go, this motorcycle came with the Battle Axe. What is it? S20 Evos, I think is what it was. Or no, I'm sorry, the S21s. My bad, S21s. They skipped around, hopped around every now and then. If you push it real hard, it would let you know that it's at its limits. And they didn't last but 3,200 miles, and they were wore out. So at 3,200 miles, I put these Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa 2s on here. Now, these are much grippier. I expected probably 2,000, maximum 3,000 miles out of them. I have 6,000 on them now, and they're still not completely wore out. I don't understand how that's possible, but I'm not complaining. And speaking of which, I had just ordered a replacement set, but I'm just not ready to put them on because these tires still have a little bit of life left to them. So I'm going to use these just a little bit longer, but I ordered them up off of RevZilla, so they're sitting at the house now. So maybe another 1,000 miles, 1,500, I don't know, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and put them on and then get the new Pirellis on there. I ordered the same exact set of tires. I am beyond happy with them. Since I've owned these tires, I've ridden this bike hard. I've pushed it, and not one hiccup out of these tires, unlike those S21s I had. These things are amazing. They grip like crazy. Not so much in the rain. They're not that great in the rain. They do let you know that you're slipping and sliding a little bit. I got caught in a rainstorm last year going out to the Tail of the Dragon, and they weren't all that great. So in the rain, they're not that good. You can ride it, but they're not great. I wouldn't recommend riding it all the time in the rain. But in the dry, they're remarkable. Even when they're pretty much towards the end of its life, I can't get these things to slip or slide or lose traction at all. I highly recommend them. So pretty soon this bike will be getting that new set of Pirellis on there. Um, as far as other changes, like I said before, maybe a fender eliminator kit, uh, that might happen, or well, I shouldn't say or, and a new exhaust. But again, those things are pretty expensive, so that is on hold for a little while. I got some other things going on that need more attention financially than exhaust. So uh, that's pretty much my opinion of this motorcycle. It's excellent. The looks of it, Yamaha calls it a neo retro. Some people call it a modern standard, whatever you want to call it. I've seen people say they don't like it. They prefer the MT09. I think it's just personal preference. I like the looks of this better than the MT09, even though they're exactly the same motorcycle. Cosmetically, they're different, but it's the exact same motorcycle. I prefer the looks of this one better. Not to say that I don't like the MT09, because I do, and I would love to have one. I would own one in a heartbeat, but there's no reason to, because I have the exact same motorcycle, just looks different. So I would definitely go with this one again versus the MT09, just because of my personal preference. But some people don't like it, so to each his own. Whatever you prefer, MT09. But I highly recommend this motorcycle to anyone that wants to buy it. If you don't want all this power, you can go with the XSR900 or MT07, whatever you want. I've never ridden one of those. I've sat on one, but I've never ridden one. I don't know anyone that owns one. But of all the YouTube channels you watch, people, they rant and rave about it. They say it's excellent, it's great, and I don't doubt it. I'm sure it is. But I love this one, and at one point I thought about maybe trading it for a Aprilia Tuono, but I don't know. I love this thing so much that I don't want to get rid of it. The other problem is I bought this bike so cheap, brand new, that it was actually cheaper than the used ones are going for. In fact, right now, the used 2016s, which are 4 years old, are still selling for more money than what I paid for this thing brand new in January of 2018. One dealership that I told them what I bought it for asked me how I did that and told me that I stole it from the dealership for that price. He said he couldn't sell me a used one for what I paid for this one. I don't know how that dealership did it, but they did, and they gave me a heck of a deal on this motorcycle. So it's hard to get rid of it when it was so cheap and such a great motorcycle. And to pay more than twice that for a Aprilia Tuono, I don't know. That's a hard pill to swallow. Now, what I would like to have is the RSV4, which I'm hardcore looking at getting an RSV4. That's in the works, but there's still some other things going on, and I'll talk about that some other time in a different video. But there will be a new bike coming, and it'll probably be a sport bike. Probably, I say. Which one, I don't know, but I'm kind of leaning towards that RSV4. But the one thing is for sure that this XSR is here to stay. I'm not getting rid of it. In fact, I'm going to maybe do some more modifications. I'm going to keep this for quite a while longer. I tend to not keep motorcycles long. Really, I just want to experience all kinds of different motorcycles. So I tend to not keep them very long and trade up to something different, something new, just so I can have the experience of riding something else. But this one is a different scenario. And, you know, before I bought this bike, I've never owned anything but a sport bike. So I came off of 20 years of sport bike riding to this. And I never thought I would like it as much as I do. And I love this motorcycle. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I'm going to keep it. So that's my take on the XSR900. I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to get one. Or if you want the 700, that's fine too. I'm sure it's just as good. And it would make you just as happy. But this one, I rant and rave about this motorcycle every time I ride it. And it is excellent. And I think 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, or shortly after I bought it, I took this thing out to Arizona and Utah and rode it out there um, through the Grand Canyon and Zion National Park and Snow Canyon in Utah. And let me tell you, this thing is amazing. It was an amazing trip, and I just can't wait to go back out there. Hopefully, take this bike back to Utah. It was an amazing ride out there. I've never been out west until that day, and it was a great experience to take the XSR out to Utah and Arizona, and even Nevada. We went to Vegas, and I don't think we rode it in Vegas. I don't think so. But Utah and Arizona, I definitely rode it in. I had the greatest time on this bike. So that's my take on the XSR900. It's a great motorcycle. I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to get one. Should you get it as your first bike? If you do, just make sure you be careful, stay safe, make sure you wear all your gear. Unlike me, no gloves today, but do as I say, not as I do, that kind of thing. As you can see, it jumped right up to 80 just with a quick flick of the throttle. That wasn't even max throttling, so this thing's stupid fast. So if you do get one as your first bike, you'll be very happy with it. Just be real careful with it, because this thing will slap you down quick. So that's my take on the XSR, and I'll make more videos about it. I plan on taking it out to Tail the Dragon next weekend, if weather permitting, of course, because I'll be out there in western North Carolina on vacation. So I plan on taking this motorcycle with me and hitting the Tail the Dragon. Of course, my girlfriend will be with me, so we'll be two up on the Tail the Dragon. She's never been there, so it should be interesting. I've never rode two up on the Tail the Dragon. I've only been there 3 times, and always by myself. So it should be fun. I'll be definitely making a video of that. And now that I got an audio mic, it'll be a little bit better. I waited too long to get a microphone. I don't know why, but I finally got one. And so now I can make some actual videos where I can have some audio content, not just video. And if you want to ask me anything about it, I'd be more than happy to answer. You can send me a message, make a comment. I'll try to respond. I'm still new at the YouTube thing, so bear with me if I don't see your comment right away. I just noticed the other day that someone made a comment on my video a while back. I just noticed it. It's been a couple months ago, so I apologize for that. I'm just new to the YouTube. And anyway, I guess that'll sum it up for now. And then I'll make some other videos, especially on this bike, and then also on my Vulcan S. And we'll chat later.